So hey there and welcome back to Sonic Safari, a channel featuring tales of record collecting. I am your host, Marcus, a Swedish hipster lost in the fog in San Francisco. So last week I talked about a couple of record labels that I think are interesting if you want to expand your vinyl record collection. So if you haven't checked it out already, please do. I really enjoyed making it. This week I want to give you a tour of my record room and my setup, and this has always been one of my favorite videos when other people in the VC do it, so I do hope you enjoy it as well. So shall we get to it? Alright, so let's start right behind me here with my record shelves. These are made by a company called Dual Structure and Style, founded by Matt Kramer in 2001, based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They are a company that focuses both on vinyl storage and DJ consoles. I have two of the Hartford storage cabinet in the 3x4 setup, but you can get it in any configuration you like. Looking back, I kind of wish I went 4x5, but anyways, there will never be enough space. According to their website, they fit about 900 records each. However, I fit less as I have the jacket and vinyl separate in the sleeve, so they take up more space than if you don't do that. And I tried to not cram them too much in each box, so they are pretty loose. So I would say they fit around 600 each. My collection as a whole is now about 10 records or so shy of 1,000. I absolutely love these. They are sleek, the perfect size of each box to fit the vinyl without each section getting too heavy and hard to handle. And the depth is made for the record to not go too far back, as happens with the IKEA Kallax. And as Matt put it himself, once these are assembled, they will never come loose. They are incredibly sturdy. Now, I do live in San Francisco, so I have them both anchored to the wall in case of earthquake or children. In the one to the left, it's all jazz, and the one to the right, it's indie, alternative rock, and some soul. So let's take a quick look at what's in these for you to get a feeling of what types of records I have. But before we do that, please take a second to like and subscribe. It helps me more than you think. Okay, so let's start with the indie alternative rock part. And let's start with Alala's self-titled album, which really represents the breezy sound of California in general and LA specifically. Garage and surf rock with a 60s feel, a real favorite of mine. I have talked about Big Thief already, so not much more to add than that they are my favorite new band, and this is their debut masterpiece on Saddle Creek from 2017. Death Cab for Cutie has always been on heavy rotation, and it all started with this one, their best one in my opinion, Translanticism from 2003 on Barsack Records. And it is a concept album about long-distance relationships, with the unique and poetic lyrics of Ben Gibbon really taking center stage. Jose Gonzalez is another favorite of mine since he broke through with a version of The Knife's Heartbeat. You might remember the TV ad with the bouncy balls. And this is a live recording with a string quartet, which really adds more layers to his otherwise more stripped down music. And this is a must in my opinion for all you singer-songwriter fans out there. Another top 10 record is his Golden Messenger's Bad Debt, which is also a singer-songwriter, just his guitar and his voice. It's sparse and with a certain level of home recording feel to it, and simply fantastic. On his other records, there is more production, and I just feel that something got lost that is present on this album. Mando Diao, one of my favorite bands in my early 20s, and their debut Bring Him In from 2002, just a straightforward rock album a la The Strokes. It's fast, guitar heavy, and leather jacket approved. Another favorite of mine is The National, and this is their live version of The Boxer that came out on Record Store Day in 2018. It's just a perfect combination of the lyrics of Matt Berlinger, his dark Nick Cave style voice, and the very distinct music of the band. My musical awakening really came when we got MTV at home in the late 90s, and I did a video about this the other day if you haven't seen it already, during peak grunge, and Pearl Jam was one of my absolute favorites, and Versus is really the one that got me hooked. I feel like they dialed down the grunge guitars and let the lyrics and songwriting take more of the center stage. I really love this record. I don't have many soul records, but this is a favorite of mine. The analog production pressing of Otis Redding Blue doesn't get much better and bluer than this. Okay, so before going on to the jazz section, let's see what's on top of that record storage. So here is my turntable, a red Pro-Ject debut carbon with the Orthophone 2M red that comes with it. The only change I've done to it is to change the platter to an acrylic one, as the felt one had tons of static and kept getting stuck to the records. Right now, I don't feel I need much more than this. Very happy with it. Even though changing from the 33 to 45 is a bit of a hassle, as you have to lift up the entire platter, and it doesn't have the automatic arm, so if you forget to turn it off, it just keeps on spinning until eternity. But yes, overall, very happy with this one. The speakers are two Kanto U4 with a built-in phono, preamp, and Bluetooth. Enough power for me while not being overly bulky, so I'm really happy with them. Next up is the Groove Washer cleaning set. I use the brush before playing any record and the cleaning solution when there's visible junk on it. Works great for me and looks good too. On the other side, we have a Wesley & Kemp record stand for what is playing now. I like that it's sturdy, yet you don't see much of it with a record leaning on it. I also have a Flipbin in the mid-century mint finish, whatever that means, which I originally bought to keep records in a separate room, but now I use it as my new arrivals bin. It fits about 25 records and is a way for me to listen to new records before they have the risk of getting lost in the big storage. I'm surprisingly happy with this one and I do recommend it. This is my garden gnome. He takes care of security and he takes his job very seriously. All right, so let's move on to the jazz section. So Chet Baker is really where it all started and probably the artist I have most records of. This here is Chet Baker in Milan, just a beautiful 1972 reissue on Jazzland. That cover, just fantastic. Next up, Dave Brubeck Quartet, Jazz Impressions of Japan. This is the 2019 Vinyl Me Please issue, and one that really surprised me. It does sound fantastic. This here is one of my better finds of this year from Tunnel Records in San Francisco, Cats by Tommy Flanagan, John Coltrane, and Kenny Burrell, an OJC mono reissue from 1983. Just a great record with an amazing cover. I don't specifically look for Japanese releases, but when I find a great copy, I don't hesitate to pick it up, like this John Coltrane release Coltrane, a 1977 Japanese mono release with that beautiful OB. One of my favorite jazz artists is Lou Donaldson, and I found this Sunny Side Up record while on a work trip in Singapore, of all places, a couple of years ago. This is a Japanese 1989 stereo reissue. And this is one of my absolute favorite covers of all time, just stunning. Bill Evans is also a favorite of mine, and Waltz for Debbie is one of his most iconic recordings. So I'm very happy to have this version together with Swedish jazz singer Monica Zetterlund. And this is one that I would love to find a OG of, as this is a fantastic recording. This here was a bit of a leap, but I know that analog production pressings are great in general, and the name Jimmy Forrest ringed a bell, and I'm really happy I did pick it up. I would say that this is also a great example of how prestige recordings can be overlooked, even though they are absolutely stunning. So this here might be one of the finds of the year, Southern Horizons by Jamaican saxophonist Joe Harriott, recorded in the UK. This is a great recording and also shows that you don't have to be in the US to make great jazz. He did record some more freer stuff, but this is more traditional hard bop record. Alright, so Freddie Hubbard, one of the more underestimated jazz musicians in my opinion, and this is Open Sesame on Music Matter Jazz. These pressings are getting harder and harder to come around and more expensive, as they are limited and the pressing quality is absolutely fantastic. So very happy to have this one and a couple of more from Music Matter Jazz. Last but not least, Glass Bead Games from Clifford Jordan Quintet on Strata East. A perfect album if you want to explore some more freer form of jazz, but you don't want anything too crazy. This, in my opinion, is then a great option. Okay, last but least, I have a Dovetail record crate from Symbol Audio that makes absolutely beautiful storage solutions for vinyl. In this crate, I keep my compilations. Okay, so that's it for my tour of my record collection and my gear setup. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so that's it for today's episode. Please like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. On the next episode, I want to talk about the French record label Sam Records. Until then, tack och adjö.